It is February 17th, 2017, and you are listening to the Filthy and Free Publishing Radio Hour. Today's topic, positivity. Today's top story comes out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where the city is planning on seeding more than 100 acres with native prairie grasses and wildflowers in hopes of returning the honeybee population to its once majestic glory. Thank you, Cedar Rapids, for creating some positive buzz about this situation. And now, some music. Our first song today comes from the album Bad Panda No. 9 from the Underscore Orchestra. The title is Balancing Act.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got the answer, baby, you are always right. And I'm so sorry for causing such a sight. I said, for a minute you're smiling, that you're in a rage. You put up your Berlin Wall, you got your demons in a cage. And I don't know what's going on in your head. So let's get you a drink and send you off to bed. And you'll have sweet dreams tonight. And when you wake up in the morning, you won't bite. No, no, I said you'll have sweet dreams tonight. And when you wake up in the morning, you won't.
Today, we'd like to remind you not to believe everything that you read on the internet. In fact, we would like to remind you not to believe anything you read anywhere. Books aren't real. Words aren't real. It is very likely, in fact, that none of this is real. So, don't worry so much. We're probably all just reflections of a hologram in a video game. Or something else. In other news about endangered animal species, we turn to California, where aquatic biologist Tim Wong has been raising butterflies in his backyard for years now. And he has recently learned about the pipevine swallowtail, increasingly rare, and he has made it his personal mission to bring the butterfly back. After learning that the butterfly only eats the California pipevine, a very rare flora, Wong had to go to the botanical gardens and beg them to allow him to take a few clippings of the plant home with him. Over the past few years, Tim Wong has successfully cultivated more than 200 California pipevine plants, and since 2012 he says they've seen more butterflies surviving in the garden, flying around, laying eggs, pupating, and emerging the following year. He says that's a good sign that our efforts are working. Thank you, Tim Wong, for your unflappable determination. And now, the weather. In many areas of the world, right now it is raining. In many more areas, it is not. You are in one of these, and the only way you'll find out is if you go outside. So go, find out what the weather is. It's good information to have. It is always easier to remain positive when you have all the facts. Our next song comes to us from the album Matthew by the Agrarians. The title, Crush Me Every Day.
You make it rich
Russia, all I do is pray. Whenever witnessing your newest glow.
Our next story comes to us from the realm of science and the land of Canada. Melissa Benoit, a nurse who suffered from cystic fibrosis, has become the first woman in the world to be kept alive for 6 days with an artificial lung. "I thought it was a piece of science fiction," Benoit said when the doctors told her she must live for days without real lungs. "But they pulled me back from the dead." A big thank you to those doctors in Canada and to science in general. Hopefully we can all breathe a little easier. In local news, someone out there is hiring for a job. If you currently do not have a job, go out and get a job. Jobs help support the community, and they give you a good feeling about yourself at the end of the day. It's important to do your work. And remember, if you currently do not have any income, minimum wage is still better than that. I will now read aloud a series of quotes from writer, professor, physicist, and all-around good guy, Isaac Asimov. "And above all things, never think that you're not good enough yourself. A man should never think that. My belief is that in life, people will take you at your own reckoning." It is change, continuing change, inevitable change, that is the dominant factor in society today. No sensible decision can be made any longer without taking into account not only the world as it is, but the world as it will be. I do not fear computers. I fear the lack of them. People who think they know everything are a great annoyance to those of us who do. Violence is the last refuge of the incompetent. Humanity has the stars in its future, and that future is too important to be lost under the burden of juvenile folly and ignorant superstition. Life is pleasant. Death is peaceful. It is the transition between the two that is troublesome. Science fiction writers foresee the inevitable, and although problems and catastrophes may be inevitable, solutions are not. The most exciting phrase to hear in science, the ones that herald the new discoveries, is never "Eureka!" but "That's funny." And finally, never let your sense of morals get in the way of doing what is right. New information has come in about the weather. If it was raining before, it may not be now. And if it was not raining before, perhaps it may be. That brings us to our next song, titled "Singing in the Rain," an instrumental off the album Bonfire Music by David Mumford. In unrelated news, Kraft Heinz, the company behind macaroni and cheese, ketchup, and barbecue sauce, has offered $143 billion to the company Unilever. I wonder what will happen. Sparkling tendrils of electricity crackle loudly against the hot, dead air of the barn. Illuminated energy jumps from one bit of hanging metal to the next, conducting its way in a circular pattern around the room. Tools hanging from the walls, the shovels, the rakes, hammers, and crowbars, all began to take on a dim orange glow as heat coursed through them, creating a sort of electric chain of rattling metal overhead. The wooden door itself began to rattle as the iron fittings on the locking mechanism and hinges shook with kinetic energy. Outside, across the moonlit, empty field, a dog barks from the safety of his owner's porch. The rest of the house is oddly silent. Inside the barn, the overhead light fixture explodes in a shower of glass and LED particles. Electrical outlets catch fire, and many of the conducting tools begin to sag and warp from the intense heat. There is a loud blast, as if something just passed through the sound barrier, and the localized storm ended as quickly as it has began. From his position on the porch, the dog ceased barking and watched with cocked ears as thin trails of smoke emanated from the barn's open skylight. He growled without showing his teeth, and slowly stepped off the porch and began slinking through the field. The animal's name was Casper D. Jones, and he was a good dog. He was nearly 2 years old, still considered a teenager by his owners, but he had already shown great prowess at following orders, not wandering off when he wasn't supposed to, and defending the property from all sorts of intruders. Casper knew that he was a good dog, and he knew that he wanted to keep getting better. He did not know what had caused the electrical disturbance in the barn, but he knew that it was his job, his responsibility, to check it out. Above all else, the humans must be protected. Today's episode of Casper Dog Jones in Space is brought to you by Morning Coffee. Morning Coffee. Nothing gets the taste of sleepy, last night's alcohol out of your breath like morning coffee. Or toothpaste. Next week's episode will be brought to you by Morning Coffee Toothpaste. As he wormed his way through the unkempt field separating the house and the barn, Casper Dog Jones could smell hundreds of small creatures. There were rats, field mice, crickets, cockroaches, and deer. He sometimes had trouble determining which smells were old and which ones were freshly made, but even with his not yet fully trained nose, he could tell that the deer he was smelling had not been nearby in months. Casper Dog stopped, sat down quickly, and scratched behind his ear. Scratching helped him to remember. He knew that he had smelled these deer before, and that time the tracks had been freshly made. His left foot began to kick softly against the ground as he continued remembering. There had been 4 of them. It was early in the morning then, and the ground had still been wet from the morning dew. There were lots of other smells around: caterpillars, grasshoppers, more roaches, and snakes. To him, there were always so many smells, but the strongest that morning, the most surprising, was the stench of deer. Casper didn't have to use his nose to find them either, because he could see them. They were right there, right in the front yard next to the cars. The nerve! As he was remembering, Casper laid down, pushing the top of his head and his upper body into the dirt, where he could still faintly smell the deer. The blades of grass, small twigs, and dirt felt wonderful against his fur. He looked up the stars and wiggled hard, a smile creeping over his face. He remembered that he had scared the deer off that morning. It was the first time he had truly barked like an adult, not the laugh-inducing yips of his former puppy voice. But when the noise left his jowls for the first time, it had scared him. Casper had not immediately realized that it was he who made the noise, and he jumped and looked in all directions for an adult dog. And that was the moment that he realized he was becoming the adult dog. His mother was not awake yet, and his twin sister was using the bathroom in the backyard. He was alone, and he must defend the homestead himself. He barked again, and the deer, they froze. He leapt off the porch and barreled towards the animals that were easily 4 times his size. Casper barked and barked and barked, and when he had nearly reached the small herd, they all suddenly jumped in unison, blew air loudly from their nostrils, indicating disgust, and bounded off through the field. In the present, Casper stood and shook himself clean, dirt and grass flying off of his golden hair in all directions. Defending the humans from the deer had been his evolution from pup to protector, and he took his new duties seriously, as all good dogs should. And he knew that he was a good dog. What? Voices. He heard voices. Humans. But not his family. Strangers. He edged closer to the barn now, growling softly. He was not afraid of other animals, but his mother had taught him to be wary of strange humans. She had lived with others before coming here, before the family, and she warned him of the dangers of unknown people. Not everyone can be trusted, she had told him, in the series of head movements and telepathic gestures that dogs use to communicate with each other. You must be able to smell the difference, to see the difference, to know the difference between a good human and a bad human. He asked her, "What is the difference? How will I know?" "You will know when the time comes," his mother had answered him, somewhat unhelpfully. She was not the nurturing type, and rarely gave good advice. 2 weeks later, the family visited the extended family, and he was able to see his father and baby sister. His father had elaborated a little, telling him, "The best way to avoid bad humans is to be a good dog. But sometimes being good is not enough." Casper then asked his father, "How will I know if a human is bad?" "It will do a bad thing," his father answered. "And how will I know what that is?" His father did not answer him immediately. The sisters had ran up then, both of them holding ends of a long tree branch, and the 2 male dogs joined in happily in the fun. It was later, after dinner time, when Casper Dog's father was on yard patrol duty, that his son approached him again. "Father, how will I know if a human is bad before they do a bad thing?" Casper's father did not stop his patrol, but he did not tell his son to leave either. He stopped every few yards and marked a fence post, and after 4 or 5 stops he said, "Son, did I ever teach you how to catch a ball?" Casper sat down and scratched his ear. Scratching helped him to remember. "No," he said after a moment. His father sat down next to him. "And did I have to tell you how to listen for the sounds of cars coming down the driveway?" "No," Casper said after another moment of scratching. "I knew how to do that myself." "Of course you did," his father said. "You're a dog. There are things that we are born knowing how to do. You know how to bark, how to growl, what to pee on, because it's genetic. It's passed down from me to you, and from my father to me, all the way back into the times of the wolf." Casper cocked his head and raised one ear. His father continued, "Just as you know how to do these things, son, you will know a bad human on first sight and smell. Be glad that you do not know what that smells like, because it means you have met nothing but good humans in your life. One day soon, that may change. For your sake, I hope it doesn't. Once you know the smell of a bad human, you can never forget it." The younger of the 2 dogs dropped his eyes and laid down, stretching his front feet forward and keeping his head bowed as he did so. Without looking, he asked, "What does it smell like?" "Like danger," his father said, and got on all fours. "Get up now. "We're not done patrolling." Casper Dog Jones and his father both walked off into the darkness. And back in the present, Casper Dog Jones smelled something that he had never smelled before. And now, some music. That was Selfish Type by Shapes in Their Names. A band which is not around anymore, but you could still find on YouTube if you looked hard enough. The theme of tonight's broadcast is positivity. And there are many different types of ways to stay positive, even when the world can sometimes be a depressing, unrelentless, unforgiving, unlikable place. Even when things may seem to be at their worst, it is good to keep a stiff upper lip. It is not an easy decision to stay positive. In fact, some people may find it very trying. Know that staying positive is a choice. It is not something that you just come by randomly. The first step to cheering yourself up is to cheer yourself up. There. Now don't we all feel better? I know I do. And now, a trivia question. The rules are simple. Name the book and the author of which the following passage originated. It always angered him when he was warned off a course of action by de Mesriel, or later by Selden, on the grounds that such an action would be looked upon as tyrannical or despotic. There will be no prize awarded for a correct answer. Another good trick to staying positive is to rid your life of all negativity. Take the things that make you unhappy and just get rid of them. It's that easy. And now, some more music. That was Singing Sadie with the song Everyone in Town Wants You Dead from the album Songs for Swingers. You know, that was such a good song, I think I'd like to hear another. Sing it again, Sadie.
Your dog is dead, and you can find its head. Things can't be
In India today, the world's first 3D printed vertebrae was used to help a woman walk again. It has been 12 days since Dr. Naan Daik and his team had inserted the 3D printed titanium vertebrae implant into a 32-year-old teacher suffering from cystic fibrosis. Now, she is walking with minimal support and nearly entirely free of pain. Even more, her singing voice has recovered after being threatened with dysphagia. Well, we all hope that she sounds as good as singing Sadie, am I right, folks? Let's hear one more. Listeners, I didn't know that song was that raunchy when I played it. Perhaps I was a little hasty. But, as we've said before today, it's all about staying positive and moving on in the face of adversity, mistakes, disappointment, fear, hatred, loneliness, depression, self-awareness, death, and looking on towards the bright side of things. The last trick to staying positive is to care about others. Caring about others is even more important than caring about yourself, because others can do things you can't. Society is what makes the world work. You are a part of that society, and so is the person that lives in the house next door to you, and so is the person across the street, across the state, across the country, across the ocean, and across the world. Everyone on this planet is a part of it, and each action that every single one of us takes has an effect on the whole. One day, in the far future, we will all become one large global society, and all these petty squabbles between countries will seem utterly insignificant compared to the new dangers the entire human race faces. And now, one final song. This one comes to us all the way from Circumstantial Evidence, an album by Jacob Holler. The title, Soft Spot.
I can't tell where I begin and you end. Can't see the difference between me and you. To my earthly needs you always tend. Now hold me, you know that it's true. I've got a soft spot on my head for you. I've got a soft spot on my head for you. But when you leave, I feel like you're gone for good. and all that I can do is cry. Without you I could barely lift my head. Now hold me, and I'll tell you why. I've got a soft spot on my head for you. I've got a soft spot on my head for you. I have no words to say how I feel. When you're near, I am weak in the knees. With you I can take this world's ordeal. Never leave me, mama, please. Never leave me, mama, please. 'Cause you're always there when I need a change. You're there when I wake in the night. I know that whatever the day will bring, you'll make everything alright. I've got a soft spot on my head for you. I've got a soft spot on my head for you. I've got a soft spot on my head for you. I've got a soft spot on my head for you.
Well, it looks like we've reached the end of another Filthy and Free Publishing Radio Hour. We hope you've enjoyed yourself. If you have, let us know. If you haven't, then why are you still listening? Good night, listeners, and remember to stay positive.